when I started, I said, I was getting going. I said, okay, if I really start applying these ideas, how much can we grow? And so I projected, being a math, I plotted it all out. If we grow this much, and by the time I retire, we will have grown 70-fold, I predicted. And so that was my goal. And so far, it's been more than 10,000-fold.
10,000 is bigger than
more
70.
Than 10,000. So it blew by that. So it just shows. It shows. I mean, people say, "Oh, you did this." No, I didn't do it. These principles did it. And when we have applied these principles, we've been tremendously successful. But entropy is at work, always pulling you down, pulling you away from the principles. So it's continual renewal.
Let's dig into that a little bit. And it is obviously an amazing empirical philosophy. You've proven these principles, which is kind of a fun part about business. You get to prove principles and test them and get them better.
Because you get real feedback.
Which is what I love about building these things as well. I want to dig into that point on entropy is trying to pull apart, because this is a challenge all of us face as we scale businesses. I've scaled some businesses to pretty decent size, but what you've done here is just extraordinary. So it's one of the biggest businesses in the world. How did you keep the principles in place as you got bigger? Didn't you have bureaucracies and people just ignoring it, and it gets to be so big? How do you possibly keep these principles in place?
Just for the audience, in case some of them didn't study a lot of thermodynamics as I did, but the second law of thermodynamics says that, and I'll take some license here, that in a closed system, entropy is always increasing. And the only way that you can reverse that is by bringing in energy and knowledge from the outside. So what we do is, okay, based on the principles, we develop practices and models and stuff, and then periodically examine them. How are these given, and as circumstances change and our needs for a business change, then they become ingrained, these practices, and they're no longer following the underlying principles.
Yeah.
So what we do is we continually look at the gap between the principles and what our actual practices were. And we always find, as we do that we can greatly improve. And when we get back closer to applying the principles, then we have a burst of improvement and growth. And then as we slack off, entropy pulls us down, and we become lackadaisical, entitled, all these things we shouldn't, and then we'll jar ourselves up and get it back on track.
Is it a rule that you're always going to be having some gap, and you just...
Absolutely. So I look at this as my James. I'm CEO, but I'm really in the philosophy department, constantly looking for gaps between what we could be doing if we were following the principles and what we are doing, and you can find them everywhere. And then the secret in an organization is to get all of your employees to do that, to fully engage them, to get them all to be to start self-actualizing and looking for these gaps and challenging and finding new ways to do things that are better. I mean, this is Schumpeter's idea of creative destruction.
In our society, there's sometimes gaps or things that are broken that are impolite to talk about, or that become, it's conventional wisdom not to mention. Does that happen in businesses too, where a gap gets really big as people are afraid to go after it?
Oh yeah, no, they think, well, Charles said this, we ought to do it this way 10 years ago, so we better do that. And as I forget who said it, foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. I mean, we need to be continually learning, and so that's to keep purging old Charles truths. I mean,
that's interesting. So some of the biggest dangers are if you said something in a certain direction, people might be afraid to touch it, but it might not be violating the principles.
And so we have, I mean, this is from Karl Popper's Science is Falsification. The true scientific method is developing a testable proposition and not going around trying to find things support it, but find the flaw in it. And any idea I have, I find, okay, what are the key drivers of success in this? Who can really challenge those, how we're applying each of those drivers of success? And then so we brainstorm that. They challenge, show me what's wrong with my idea or how it can be improved. And sometimes, yeah, my idea's no good. And sometimes, but always, this process, this challenge process, greatly improves what I proposed.
And when you succeed in business, one thing I think people get confused by, when you succeed in business and you have Schumpeterian and creative destruction, how does mutual benefit fit into the framework of creative destruction? How do you think about those things?
Well, creative destruction is finding a better way. And the role of business is to create products and services that people will value more than their alternatives. So it's all mutual benefit. I mean, for there to be a voluntary transaction, both parties have to believe they will benefit. Otherwise, there won't be a transaction. So to have business, and why everybody doesn't think this way, why people think, oh, I want to maximize my profit. No, you want to focus on maximizing the value you create for others. And then if they don't reward you for it, well, then you need to find better customers.
So creative destruction happens when you're not creating value for others. When something's not creating enough value, it's not a better way of creating more value.
It's not creative destruction. I mean, creative destruction is finding a better way, and a better way is contributing to human flourishing.